Okay, Councillor, we're now live.
All right, thank you very much. First of all, some chairman's announcements. Welcome to a virtual petition hearing of the London Borough of Hillingdon. This virtual meeting is also being broadcast simultaneously on the Council's YouTube channel, Hillingdon London. My name is Councillor John Riley, and I'm the Cabinet Member for Public Safety and Transport, and I'm the chairman of this meeting. Before we start, some important online housekeeping for everyone. Please ensure that your mobile phone, any mobile phones around you are on silent. Please keep your microphone muted when not speaking, and then unmute to speak. Only one person should speak at a time, and I, as chairman, will call on those to speak and keep an eye on the room through my gallery view on those who are indicating. In terms of technical meeting control, if any councillor leaves the meeting partway through or for a period of time, for example, they might have lost connection, I'll continue with the meeting. We'll do an attendance roll call of everybody present before we move on. So what I'll do is I'll go around the screen as I see it, from left to right, and ask people merely just to say who you are and the fact that you're present. So Mrs. Drummond.
Yes, Shirley Drummond, Head Teacher, St Helens College, present.
Thank you. Councillor Sullivan.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. Councillor Chapman.
Good evening, Chairman. Yes, I'm present.
Thank you. Liz.
Good evening, Chairman, Democratic Services, and I'm present.
Thank you. Steve.
Present, Chairman.
Thank you. Mrs. Walker.
Good evening, Sharon Walker from St Helens College, and I'm the school travel champion.
Lovely, thank you. Councillor Graham.
Yes, present, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan.
Yes, present, Chairman.
David. Mr. Knowles.
Good evening, Chairman. Thank you. David Knowles, London Borough of Hillingdon, Head of Transport and Town Centre Projects. I am present.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bridges.
Good evening, Chairman. I'm present.
Thank you very much. I think that's everybody that I can see. Liz, have I missed anybody?
No, Chairman, you've got everybody.
Lovely. All right, thank you. The details of the business this evening can be found, in fact, on the agenda, copies of which are available on YouTube underneath the broadcast, and everything this evening is in public. So we'll move to this part of the agenda, and just to say that the lead petitioner gets 5 minutes, and then councillors, I don't know if anybody has designated one councillor to speak on behalf of all, but councillors get 3 minutes. The petition is requesting that the existing zebra crossing close to St Helens College in Long Lane, Hillingdon, is changed to a pelican crossing. And there's a very detailed and extremely helpful set of documents from the school, but I'll let Mrs. Drummond deal with all of that and give her presentation. And I think Ryan's going to be the clock monitor.
I will do, yes.
And will let us know when 5 minutes are close to being up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I wasn't intending to go through all the supporting information in detail, and hopefully people have read the petition which we sent in on behalf of the children and the parents, and then the letter that I sent in on behalf of the school as head teacher. I'm sure you're all aware, as we all agree, that safety is paramount in the local area. And it was recently when we had our second incident on the crossing at Long Lane that we really felt we had to try and do something about the current situation with speeding traffic, which I'm sure you're all aware, we're very much involved with the STARS team and the Council's Road Safety team to keep improving things in the local area. So we did think we'd better put something forward because there's an accident waiting to happen. The last incident involving a 7-year-old child was very traumatic for the family. and my near miss was incredibly traumatic, and a paramedic actually stopped on the crossing to see if I needed help. Neither of the incidents were reported to the police because we were all very busy in our day. We wanted to continue with our day. The child actually stayed at school that day. She was fine, but quite shaken up. So we're really grateful for this opportunity to be heard by the local councillors. And in section 8 of the supporting information, we understand that if the crossing was to be changed, it would not be a local decision. It would go to Transport for London. However, in section 9, we really appreciate the proposal that has been put forward for alternatives to be looked at. And we actually really like the alternatives because we feel that they would be suitable to slow down the traffic, to draw attention to the crossing, and to also draw attention to the fact that there is yet another school on Long Lane. We're inundated with schools in Long Lane, but St Helens College are quite hidden at the back of the Methodist Church and behind the hedges on the other side of the road. So we are very attracted to the zebrites, the addition of the zebrites, but also the VAS, the vehicular activated sign. I know that as a driver myself, the vehicle activated signs really have an impact as a driver, and you really do slow your speed. So I think, and I'm sure Sharon agrees with me, and the community, we've discussed it as a senior leadership team, and the principals of the school are very much appreciative that any of those alternatives, anything at all, would help slow traffic down. And we don't want to say save a life, but that might be the extent if we don't act upon it and put something else in place. I don't know if you're aware that the proprietors of the school back in 2005, they actually consulted with the council and they contributed over £11,000 towards the installation of the current zebra crossing. So, you know, they continue to support the school, and they are very impressed that we're having this opportunity to come along tonight to keep improving safety, not just for our children, but for the whole community, because it is a regularly used crossing, not just by St Helens College. So I don't have much more to say, but thank you for your time, and we look forward to working with you to see if we can come up with a solution and implement something fairly quickly.
All right, thank you very much. Before I make any comments or anything of that nature, councillors, is one of you speaking on behalf of all, or who would like to speak from the councillors' side?
Councillor Riley, Chairman, no, there's been no decision for one of us to speak on behalf of everybody. Would you like me to just go first?
You go first, then. Go on.
Yes, I mean, I'll be quite brief. As is known, Long Lane is a very busy road, and myself and my two fellow ward councillors are in support of the request for a pelican crossing. I note that the Hillingdon East ward councillors are attending this meeting, so it'll be interesting to hear from them as well. I've experienced using the current busy crossing with St Helens pupils from time to time and noticed the traffic dangers. In fact, Uxbridge North councillor Goddard had young children attending the college at one time, and so he has first-hand experience of the dangers. I'll just finish by saying that we councillors hope that officers will engage with Transport for London on this matter to achieve the intended and preferred outcome. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Councillor Chapman, do you want to say anything?
More than happy to do so, Chairman. I think Councillor Bridges was going to speak on our behalf, but just for my fourpenneth, so to speak, as per Councillor Graham, very supportive of the scheme, very sympathetic to the school's position and situation, so to speak. I would also bear in mind that if we agree tonight, it will still have to go to TfL. I would also be very keen to explore zebrites and vehicle activated signs. I echo the fact that I find vehicle activated signs quite off-putting and spooky. I still haven't got my head around the fact that there isn't somebody who's there pressing a button having identified me, so to speak. So I think any measure that we can do in lieu of this going to TfL is to be appreciated. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bridges.
Thank you, Chairman. I think it's already been said by both Councillor Chapman and Councillor Graham. From Hillingdon East side, we are supportive of the petition, and we fully endorse the proposal to liaise with TfL to identify any sort of improvements that can be made to this crossing. As we are in a public forum, I suppose I could just place on record the importance of actually reporting any incidents that do occur to the police or any of the authorities, because of course all of these schemes do rely on evidence basis. So we may not need a petition had the instance been reported, but certainly highlight the importance of that. We do need to report any incidents as and when they occur. They assist the officers, and they may indeed prevent, save lives in the future going forward.
All right, thank you. Councillor Sullivan, do you have anything to add?
No, I haven't. Thank you. I agree with my colleagues.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right. Well, it will not be a surprise that I support anything that we can do to make this crossing safer, and not just the crossing, but the approach to it. There is a speed camera which is activated along Long Lane, and it may be that we can look at other mitigating features as far as speed cameras are concerned. The position with regard to Transport for London is slightly complicated. Even before the pandemic, they would have taken quite a long time to from us contacting them and putting forward proposals for a pelican crossing. And such is the circumstances of Transport for London now, both in terms of their financial commitments around London and the speed at which they act in regard to these sorts of requests. It would take, unfortunately, quite a long time, notwithstanding the fact we'd be banging on their door saying it's for children or for a school. Colleagues in different parts of London that I know who've tried similar approaches have had the same response, which has been not very good, but for a range of reasons. So for that reason, I spoke to officers beforehand about the possibility, and indeed the very real possibility, of doing other things first to make a difference. And some of them are set out in the paperwork that you will have seen. It seems to me that the achievement of a pelican crossing may be something that we look at a bit further down the line. Do not ignore it by any means at all, because I think that's probably the best solution. But in order that we progress this and get some really good and effective mitigation, I think we should be doing something in addition to going to TfL. So these Z-Bright, brightly coloured hooded things that go over the top of the Belisha beacons and make further awareness to drivers. One of the recommendations I'm going to make is to ask officers to look at the funding to purchase those things as soon as possible. I see my officer colleagues nodding sagely. It may not be sagely, but I think it's sagely. And I think we can buy those things, and in the fullness of time, if we then get a pelican crossing, we can use them somewhere else, because they're like movable hoods. You can put them on one set of Belisha beacons and move them, put them somewhere else. So we can do that as an immediate measure, and I think we can look at that, Steve, quite quickly, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, all right, thank you, both of you, Steve and David, nodding away. The other thing that we've looked at, and Mrs. Drummond's already mentioned it, are these vehicle activated signs. And as Councillor Chapman says, they perhaps I'm a little more advanced than he, because it doesn't come quite so much of a shock to me when I see them come on, but they do have a very different, I think, effect on drivers, even rather than just a sign that says school. I think the fact that they come on and flash in front of you. What's interesting is that we believe there are different types of sign. So certainly my experience is that Harrow, for example, have a lot of these smiley face, miserable face things that seem to indicate you get a smiley face if you're doing 29 and a miserable face if you're getting 30. I believe they're called emojis, but I'm not entirely certain. But equally, I've come across places where similar signs flash up, children crossing, or some child-related or school-related message, and I think that might be worth looking into as well. I know that we have plans to purchase a number of different types of these signs because again, they're movable. You can put them in different parts of the borough, but certainly I would want to have ones near to and on the approach to schools. So that's another thing that I'm going to ask officers to look at. There is we are going to look at a school crossing patrol, which may sound a bit old-fashioned, but and it's quite complicated to recruit because of the slightly odd hours, and also, to be honest, a lot of people are more concerned about the fact that drivers tend not to take much notice of them either, or may not take much notice of them either. And we've had reports from around the borough about that sort of thing happening, where drivers speed up and then suddenly stop, not realizing what's going on, which is very unfortunate. So there are, and as I say, there's a speed camera on Long Lane. Maybe we can look at where we position that, or whether there might need to be more than one. So I think there are a range of different things, as Mrs. Drummond said, in paragraph 9, but further than that, more things that we can look at, and those will be the various issues, various mitigations that I'm going to ask officers to look at. So we have a package of safety measures. I even mentioned to the officers the fact that in certain authorities, they have, how can I put it, little statues of children on the roadside on approach to schools. And I'm thinking of somewhere quite near to us on the way to Slough, that there are these extraordinary little statues of children at the roadside just before schools. Whether that's something that we'll look at, I don't know, but that might be going a bit too far. But certainly that package and that range in order to deal with this problem, and then keeping in mind the idea of a pelican crossing. So when Transport for London get back into a much more friendly and capacity situation, we'll be in a much better position to deal with it. I take Councillor Bridges' point very well. Yes, of course, reporting, but at the very least, maybe having hopefully it's an empty book, but a book of events or concerns. I mean, even if it's not a question of a driver being so reckless as to cause an incident or an accident, I think even for children and for the teachers and other staff who have to watch them across the road or take them across the road, it's very concerning if a vehicle is going very fast past you. You can't have, well, I mean, you can, but it's probably not very helpful to have barriers along a road like Long Lane. That may be somewhat difficult, but at the same time, it's even just getting people to slow down. That's the reality. And we will look at all the different options that there are to make people aware of the presence of the school along Long Lane, I think. And turning those into recommendations, the officers who are with us will have heard what I've said, and that's what we will be doing. But I think in the very, very near future, we can very much deal with the idea of these zebrite constructions. So that's what I'm going to, that's my decision. That's what I'm asking officers to do. And unless anybody's got any further observations, I'll get David or Steve, have you got any other observations or questions you want to deal with? David, you're on mute.
No, Chairman. I think you've covered it very well indeed. I mean, there was a plan which we produced, which I don't think we really need to see, because I think we all know where we're talking about. So I think points well made. We will take that away. Perhaps, Councillor Riley, when we meet with you on one of our regular sessions, we can discuss this further and see what we can do in terms of actually making this happen as quickly as we can.
Well, I think the next one of those is next week, so we can move on this fairly swiftly. Steve, anything to add?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Just like to say thank you to the school who have worked tirelessly with the council's road safety and school travel team. Excellent work that's been going on. And thinking about the point you made about logging some of the concerns, perhaps that's a project that the STARS team could work with the junior and road safety officers, perhaps. And that could be something that would support any case that we can put through to Transport for London moving forward.
I think that's a really good idea, and that's why I didn't restrict the reporting to actual incidents, as it were. Perceptions are equally as valid, and hearing or seeing vehicles going quickly in the vicinity of a school, when the time comes, to use that as a lever with TfL and to suggest to them that they may have a hierarchy of importance of crossings, and if schools don't come up at the top of that, then we would want to push that very much, I think, and make them realise that that's got to be the case. I want to echo what Steve has just said, because I was made aware of all the great work that the junior safety officers, the young people at the school, had done, and I was absolutely staggered about the one where they'd gone out with the police and stopped, not the children, but the police had stopped speeders, and they had a choice: listen to the kids or get fined. And I suspect that the sight and sound of a young person telling speeding drivers just how bad they have behaved and how much of an effect it's been on the children would have been absolutely stunning. And hopefully they will have changed their speedy ways. All right. Well, look, if anyone has anything else to add, I don't see anybody's hand raised.
Chairman, Councillor Graham's raised his hand.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yes, I did see that.
Yes. Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to say how pleased I am to take note of the breadth of ideas that have come forward in the short term, given that we may have to wait some time, as you say, to get the Pelican crossing, which would be the ideal thing, I think, in the future. But I just wanted to register how pleased I am to hear of the thinking that's gone into this at this stage. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Councillor Graham. Anybody else? Your hand's still up, but I suspect you'll put it down. Nobody else, Liz?
No, Chairman, nobody else is indicating at the moment.
All right, thank you so much. All right, look, thank you very much, everybody, and we look forward to bringing you some good news fairly quickly. Oh, sorry, Mrs. Drummond, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody for supporting the school so much in the work that we are doing. And Miss Walker, who's online, she's the one that's driving the STARS and the Junior Road Safety Officers teams. So it's a great collaboration with the council, and the children and parents have really benefited from it. So thank you for all your support, and we'll look forward to hearing from you shortly.
All right. All right, well,
Chairman, sorry to interject. Miss Walker's also raised her hand.
Okay.
So I'd just like to thank everyone for their ongoing support, and I will know that the children will be thrilled when I report back to them that their advocacy in putting together their letter to go with this petition has been successful, and we really are going to see positive change in the future. So thank you all very much.
All right, thank you. Well, in that case, we can, Ryan, close the meeting to YouTube, and if David and Stephen, yourself and Liz could hang on for a few minutes, I'd be grateful.
Okay, if I can just then kindly ask everyone to mute while I end the live stream.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you to the councillors for attending. Thank you.